Hey guys, Andy here. Yeah, I am still alive. Apologies that there haven't been many videos, or maybe if I remember, I'll put something on the end just a little about maybe me and what I'm thinking perhaps. But anyway, today we're going to take just a bit of a look around TrainerRoad. I have reason to try a different training platform for my indoor cycling. I've heard a lot of positive things about TrainerRoad, so I'm just paying the monthly sub at the moment while I sort of get an idea of if I think it will suit me or not. But I thought while I'm in, let's just kind of take a bit of a look through what it offers. Okay, so I'm using the web-based version of TrainerRoad, but there is a Windows app, there's an Android app, I'm sure there'll be something on iOS. But I just thought probably easiest just to use the web for the moment. I'm on the career tab. There are a few things we'll go through on the career tab. I'm going to move reasonably quick because I don't want to have a half-hour long video because there is quite a lot to see. So on the main let's just call it the front page. We've got my information at the top here. Which you can obviously click and update. It will update the FTP for you. We'll see a bit about that at some point when we're looking at the calendar or somewhere it shows where it's done some auto detection. But this is my training stress over time, and each one you can sort of get a bit more detail, which of it's been TrainerRoad stress and which has been outdoor stress. This is my current training plan called the Increasing the FTP. Again, we'll look at that in a moment. Progression levels we'll look at in a little while as well. The current week, I've just finished this sort of low intensity half-hour session there. And these are all my recent activities, including outdoor rides that it syncs in from Strava. So I'm not going to bother looking at activity. That literally is just the activities. The web page can be a little slow at times when you go from one thing to another. I don't know if it's because of how many activities I've got or what, but so I'm going to just put it on this year. Now, I'm not sure I believe what it tells me about these power rankings because it makes out like I should be turning pro. And I know I call myself a Group 2 rider, which means whenever there's 10 or more cyclists, you tend to split into the two groups, the fast group and everyone else. I'm in that everyone else. This is being slow. Here we go. So this one, it tells me my 5-second power, the best I've done, and this is all based off the best I've done, I suppose, is 12:77 for 5 seconds, and that says I'm in the top 98.5. This is even better, 99.4. Really? I don't know. Even my 60-minute, which I don't think was, 92. I don't know. Is that of all human beings? Because I could maybe believe that, but if it's of cyclists, I don't know. I suppose it helps if I go what's per kilo because I'm a big guy, and that does bring. But even then, the 20-minute and they're still up in the upper ends. I quite like this bit though. Power phenotype punchier. You excel at strong punchy efforts. And I'm quite good on the short steep climbs. They are my sort of speciality. Rolling terrain is where I'm better. And it gives you some sort of what your strengths are. I like this little pro rider examples. There's my guy Mathieu van der Poel. So I think that's just a bit. It's just a bit of fun, really, I suppose, but at the same time, it might give you an idea of who you are and what you should be doing. Quick look at training stress. I say quick look. Right, so this is what I was going to mention. You can see the little triangles there where it says it's done an FTP change. Now, I think maybe it took this FTP from intervals. I had one really, really strong 8-minute live segment that I pushed more power than I'd ever pushed before, and interval said, I'm going to put your FTP up by 60 out of the year 3. I was like, well, what, really? And then sure enough, the AI adjusted new FTP 272. But then last week, it said, well done, you're going up to 285. Okay. So every month, I think basically it gives you an option. You can click a little button that says reassess my FTP, which I quite like. It just uses all the data it's got and makes the estimation. And you can look at these different weeks. So if you can see down below there, look, week of the June the 16th. That was, I guess, I was in the Pyrenees that week, so that's why that was. Yeah, there we go. Look. So these are quite fun, just being able to jump into the different things you've done. So let's jump over to the calendar, which is kind of the way I see it. This is kind of where you live, really. Day to day, this is what I'd probably prefer it opened up on, so I can scroll up a little bit. I can see my previous, what I've been up to, like the weekend I was riding and I went out for a ride on Wednesday. I had a bit of an attack on a segment there. And I like that. So this Monday, it was red and just said, you shouldn't be doing anything today. Because obviously I've had 2 days of quite big miles, but fairly normal for me. And that's what I think is going to be interesting. Does it adapt to, that's just what Andy does at the weekend? Because even today, it says, well, caution, you're still recently quite stressed, basically. But then this is my training plan, or the workout of it. And what I quite like is I think it does adjust these. So at one point, I feel like Thursday was on an easier session, and it's actually put it back up a bit. And possibly what it is, so even when you ride outside, it asks you to rate how, well, that was hard, that was very hard, which I might have, maybe I'm overdoing that a little bit. And then today, I've rated this one easy. So before you start your training, any training on the bike, it says, how do you feel today? How motivated do you feel? And I said, yeah, I feel pretty motivated. I did that session, and it was quite easy. We never went over about 170 watts, I don't think. And at the end, it says, how did you find that? Yeah, it's pretty easy. And I think maybe those two indications, it takes that to get an understanding of how your body is feeling based on the activity that you've done. So I think based on that, maybe it's gone, okay, we'll go back to the original plan of quite a hard session on Thursday, and we'll come to what's quite hard and what's not in a moment. But then my training plan is sort of rolled through, and I've set it up so I have a easy-ish 45 minutes on Tuesday, definitely an easy 30 minutes on Wednesday, because I normally go to the gym in the morning, and then I've said, right, Thursday, let's go through it on a bit of a harder thing. And again, I'll come to what's easy and what's hard in a moment. And you can see all the speciality phase starters. So up here, I've literally just started. Oh no, where is it? Here. Plan starts, look. And then it says, right, building phase starts. And then the speciality phase starts. And somewhere, I think when we get to training plans, we'll see a bit more about what those mean. Actually, probably if I can click that, I think it does tell me. Here we go. So base is 4 weeks, building is 4 weeks, and speciality is 4 weeks. And it kind of, it adjusts what you do based on that. I sort of set how many weeks I want to do, or how many months I want it to be. I set how many times I want it to. In fact, we can go and edit. So let's have a look at the training plans while we're here. You can tell it, right, I'm doing this event on this date, and it can work towards that particular date, and you tell it what type of event it is, and it will sort of work the plan out based on that. I think I said, I'd just like to build my FTP. And again, we're seeing a bit of a demo of how slow the website can be as we wait for it to load. And I find it interesting, it kicks off saying, right, you need to train 6 times a week. Oh, wow, okay. But I think it's quite almost generous with the sort of the easy sessions. So although like 6 sessions a week initially sounds quite daunting, maybe it shouldn't be. But again, timing might be a factor for some people that might have time to do 6 sessions a week. My goodness, it's taking a long time. It's slower. This is not normally this slow, I would say. I dropped down from 6 to 5 sessions. I thought, well, I'm riding outdoors on Saturday and Sunday, and you can tell it those 2 sessions and kind of make it part of the plan. Here we are. Look. So you can click the drop down. You can change what type of ride it is. So I said that Saturday is a solo ride. I ride by myself, and it's probably about 3 hours of riding. Sunday is a group ride, and it's probably about 2.5 hours, but I can have that as the hard ride. I don't think I can change that element, but I can drag and drop them, you see. So initially I think Saturday was a hard and Sunday was endurance, and I've swapped them around because often I go a bit easier on myself when I'm riding by myself, and then Sunday I'm chasing other guys in the club around. And likewise, it did have Tuesday as the hard intervals, but that's how it was when I woke up this morning. That's what it was saying. Originally the plan was hard interval today. But then because it thinks I'm still stressed, it changed that to an easy one. So, well, it's going to do that every Tuesday. I'm always going to ride 2 days at the weekend. So let's move the intervals to the Thursday and have sort of an endurance on Tuesday, easy on Wednesday, and then harder on Thursday. And again, you can change, if you're glutton for punishment, you can put it for 2 hours of hard intervals or whatever you want. You can change all of these. So I quite like that. That's quite adjustable. I'm kind of scared to, yeah, so you can say how sort of aggressive or conservative you want it to be. You can change when it starts, how long it's going to, we're still doing that stuff. I can say how long it's going to take. So it's quite adaptable, I would say, basically. If you don't want to do a training plan, and you might just every now and then go, well, I want to do a session tonight. You go to train now, and it will give you, normally, I didn't realise actually, so normally it gives you like 3 options. It says, right, you should probably do this one. But it does say, caution, your training stress is quite high. So my alternative actually just is a rest day. Actually, I think it might, yeah, so I should have maybe recorded this bit before I trained today. And it perhaps would have still given me the 3 options. But yeah, normally it'll say, okay, we suggest you do this. It's a climber session, it's an hour long and it's this hard. Alternatively, you could do this endurance session or this sweet spot session. And you can change that. You can change how long you might want it to be. You can just ignore all that and go to the workouts list, which is where we'll head to now. So workouts, first of all, on the top is the sorting, the level, the name, the date, intensity. Intensity is probably quite a good one to list things by, but we'll not mess too much. And then we have all these different sort of just things that you want. So you might think, well, I've only got sort of 45 minutes or so, or less even. And you might say, I'm looking for something on active recovery, or you might say, oh, I'm looking for a tempo session. And then you can change it to intervals or to sustained power. So that's all quite flexible. Endurance with bursts, look, that sounds quite fun actually. Or VO2 max, but I want to do intervals, or I want to do a long soup. Oh wow! So there's lots of different sort of options within there. Now to try and explain a little bit how these and therefore at the same time the progression levels work, I suppose. So we can see the session Kendra. If we go, oh, again, this is normally it's especially just loading a workout. That's not normally long. Anyway, so it's a VO2 max workout and it's level 1. I believe they go all the way up to level 10, and there can be decimals. It could be 1.5, 2.7, and it's saying there that look, it's a long super threshold session. All this stuff is used across different training platforms. Intensity factors, quite a good one to keep an eye on. Obviously, you can just add that straight to your calendar. Now, workout levels, and these are your progression bars. So the grey is what my current progression level is, and the red is what it's kind of offering. So this is a bad example because it's all quite low. Let's find something. Let's order it by intensity going the other way, because oh, look at these 8. Oh my word. So I don't want to go too bizarre. Elephant 6.5. So it's a 30-minute session. I quite like as well that you can drag over the plan and see how many watts. So you can see that's a 7-minute interval of 308 watts. And yeah, I could actually do that. That would be quite good. And down here we can see, okay, so there's some red levels in some of the tempo sweet spot threshold, but the main one, look, is VO2 max. That's a 6.5, and I'm currently at a 2, so it would increase my VO2 max progression level to 6.5. So what does that mean for you? Let's go back to career. And if I'm very honest, I'm not entirely sure how I would use it or how the software will use it just yet. But I believe when it's suggesting a training plan, if I'm saying, I mean, definitely if I was wanting to be a better sprinter, I'm looking at sprint 1, I need to get that up. So I'll be looking for a session that builds the sprint up. These do decay. Look at that. Training zone inactivity, 2 weeks without any productive workouts in this or related zones reduces your progression level. So it's saying that has come down to 3.4 from a 4.2. So because I've not done an aerobic plan, that's coming down. So as you do your sessions, that is going to kind of shape itself into, 1, how good you are at those different areas, and 2, just kind of how much effort you've put into those areas. It's kind of a combo of the two, I suppose. So it's not just how good you are, because I know I'm a pretty good sprinter, but I just haven't done a plan. Therefore, it's saying I'm 1.0. So I need to do some plans that I could build that up, but some of the other things will drop off as I'm building that up. So it's an interesting metric and thing to keep an eye on. If you want to be just a good all-round cyclist, you're going to try and balance all those bars and keep them all quite level. Also, when your FTP changes, those will adjust. So if it did put 40 on my FTP, my aerobic would come down by, I don't know, 0.4, 0.3, something like that, because all of a sudden something that was a level 3 difficulty to me before would be a little bit easier. So therefore now it's going to be harder than that, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think they're sort of one of the interesting things that TrainerRoad uses basically. I think actually now thinking about it, I think we've been through most. We've been through the calendar, been through training now. We've had a look at workouts already. No, we've not. We've had a look at training plans, then we looked at the workout. Yeah, so I think it is pretty much all covered. Which then leaves me to talk about, I suppose, on the actual bike and doing a workout. Um, it's a pretty basic display. So, I've used, Zwift obviously is very pretty and lots of things to look at. System can have videos playing and motivational phrases being thrown up as you're riding. But TrainerRoad is just about, these are your numbers, this is your power you're doing, this is the power you need to be doing, this is how long to the interval you are, this is how long to your session, or no, how long of the interval is left, I think, sorry. This is how long to your session you are, here's your heart rate, here's your cadence. Then there's a graph along the bottom showing you kind of the plan. I quite like that you can extend the warm-up and the cool-down. Some of them are really quite short. I'm not used to them being as short as they are, but you can click in to add a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes into the warm-ups and the cool-downs. I think that's quite a good feature. I think one thing I noticed is it's very responsive. So I've used some, well, let me just call it out, System, Wahoo's System. You can almost cheat the system a bit. If you had like a 500 watt burst for 20 seconds coming up and you started pedaling too fast like a second or so before, the extra watts just wouldn't kick in on the trainer. So if you're pushed along at 150 watts and you had this big 500 spike for like 10 seconds and you start pedaling a bit too soon, you start pedaling fast, it takes 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds and it'll kick up to 500. But then perhaps it won't finish on time either. So then all of a sudden, well, hang on, now when is it going to finish? And some of it will finish at 8, yeah, wasn't too accurate. But TrainerRoad, interestingly, maybe it's a second before, but if you've got a change in the watts in your ERG mode on your trainer, a second before it's there, and then a second before it's drop off, it starts dropping off. So while it's a second before, it's consistent and it seems to work pretty accurately. So yeah, generally I quite like it. I'm not really needing the frills and the things to look at when I'm training. I'm either going to watch something on the TV or I'm going to listen to my audiobook. But it just seems to work well. The different, as we were looking through some of the training plans, I don't know how many there are. I think there's a lot. They all seem to be sort of 15-minute. Well, they're not all though. I think I have seen some that are like 37 minutes, but most of them seem to be 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. And I find that a bit weird. Like I'm used to System, it's as long as it needs to be. This is how the training plan works. If it's 47 minutes and 20 seconds, then it's 47 minutes and 20 seconds. And maybe that's why some of these warm-ups and cooldowns are so short, because it's just trying to wedge it into 30. I'm not sure. It's not really a problem, just something I've kind of noticed. So let's go to the pricing. So I'm paying monthly and it's $21.99. So it's all priced American. That comes out about £16.50. If you want to pay for a year, it's $209.99, and that comes out at £157 roughly. So it's about £40 a year cheaper if you pay for the year over the month by month. So almost kind of 2 months. So I'll probably, if I'm going to stick with, well, it depends. Some people don't bother training through the summer. They're going to ride outdoors. I like the option that I could just jump on the bike and do a training session. I think structured training is very beneficial, and it is good to get a session or two in a week if you can. But yeah, that's the pricing. So at the moment, I like it. I'll probably just keep going monthly at the moment. But yeah, it seems to do what you would want a training system to do. I think it's going to be interesting over, let me use this through the winter, see how those progression levels start stacking up when I've not done that many training sessions on it yet. See how, because I get the impression it's kind of all AI is all built in. How well does, like, for example, Tuesday today, I rode big mileage on Saturday and Sunday. Monday says, you want to just sit down and do nothing. Tuesday, oh, be careful. I wonder if it starts realizing, oh, he actually recovers quite quickly. So as I keep saying it on the Tuesday, yeah, it's quite easy. Is he going to start learning that I can recover a bit better? And I believe it will start giving me harder and harder sessions. But that'll be interesting just to see how that AI learning is built into TrainerRoad and how it affects things over time. So there we go. I've only had it for 5 weeks maybe. Please put any sort of advice or comments. Maybe you've been using it a lot longer. You're thinking, Andy, you need it. You want to be doing this. You want to be doing that. Put your comments. I'd love to hear more and help others that watch this video. Do give us a thumbs up. Apologies I've not been around. So TrainerRoad done with. Just me personally. Quite honestly, I got an email from YouTube saying, Andy, we're going to demonetize your channel. Wait, what? Has it really been that long? And when I look back through, I haven't done a lot of videos over recently. And it's funny because about a month back, I was thinking, I'd quite like to do some more videos again. So the emails kind of give me a bit of a kickstart. And I was even thinking, do I want to buy another sort of mid-range phone like I used to do and start doing some phone reviews again? So we'll see. I'm gonna make more effort to try and do more videos. again, in the comments, drop any ideas you might have for things you'd like to watch. Maybe it's not just phone reviews, maybe it's not cycling reviews, maybe it is cycling reviews or videos. But yeah, give us some feedback in the comments. I'm looking forward, hopefully, to hearing from some of you if you're still about. But for now, my name's Andy, and I'll catch you all hopefully again soon.